Hello, I'm so glad you joined me. This is Shelley from Koala Knits and Knacks, and we are going to make this cute little bunny basket. Now, I was inspired by a fabric basket that I saw in a store, and I thought, I can make that on my machine. So, this is my go at it. So, you're going to need one of those little wicker baskets, and you can get those anywhere. I got it for $2 in Dollarama. You're going to need, I used Bernat Super Saver yarn in pink and in white. You'll need some fiber fill. You're going to need some pom-pom makers. Yeah, I think that's about all you're going to need. And some fillers for your basket. So once you have all your supplies ready, we're going to use our Addi 46 needle machine, but you know what, you could use your 48 needle Sentro if you have it, and just follow along the same way, and I'm sure it will be absolutely fine. So once you have your supplies, let's get going. Okay, so once you have your Addi set up, your 46 needle, or you can use your Sentro 48 needle as well, that will work. We're going to bring our last white needle and our first black needle in line with our yarn feeder, and we're going to begin with waste yarn, okay? So I'm going to take my waste yarn, I'm going to go behind that first black needle, in front of the next, behind and in front, all the way around. And here's to hoping that this yarn is not gonna tuck stitches while I do this, because I'm determined to use it, because I need to use up this ball of yarn and do something with it, but it's my Addi doesn't like it very well, so sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, so I'm gonna give it a go this time. Okay, might be the last time. So then once you get around, you're around the last white one, you're gonna put it in your yarn feeder, shut the guide door, and you're gonna set your, well, you don't have to set your counter for this. We will set it for when we attach our working yarn. That's a habit that I just did that, so that's okay. We'll ignore that. And we will just keep going around. So far, so good. Okay. I generally do 7 or 8 rows of waste yarn. Maybe because I've used this once already and it's gone through my fingers. It's not as coarse as what it generally is. So now it seems to be working fine. Maybe that's a trick. If we have yarn that doesn't work very well, then unravel your project and reuse it again, and maybe it'll work the second time. Because look at, I'm not even tucking one stitch here. Mind you, I shouldn't speak so soon, because look at that. There, that one was gonna go. There we go. That's okay. Oh, there's another one. Yep. So hey, never mind. Just when I was about to have faith in you, you little forest green yarn. Okay, here we go. I think this is row 4. I'm gonna just help it down, because I'm not gonna give up on it. I'm just gonna keep using it until I get a few more rows. Okay. Maybe this will be the last one. This is good enough. I don't need any more than that. Okay. So I'm coming around. I can see that black divider that I had used a black permanent marker on. Yeah, I have to push this down. It's not going to work. I take a black permanent marker and I mark the red divider between my last white and my first black. And I always can see when it's coming around. So there we go. Now I'm going to change my row counter to 0. And we are going to begin with our working yarn. So we're going to cut off our waste yarn, and we're going to open the yarn feeder latch there. We're going to put that waste yarn in between the last white, the first black, and then we're going to grab our working yarn. For me, this is Bernat Super Value, and it's I think it's Super Value, or is it Premium? Let me double check. Super Value in pink. Generally, my machine loves this one. So I'm going to do 3 or 4 needles. Then I'm going to take both ends of my working yarn, and I'm going to tug on it until that pops down underneath that little divider. Give this one tie. And again, I say this in every video. That is so that my stitches at the beginning of my row is evenly tensioned to the rest. And when you do color changes, then when I do color changes, then I do the same thing. Okay, so every time I change my yarn, I do that. And I'm going to just help it along this first row here, because I just don't want to have a problem. There we go. Okay, and so then I'm going to keep knitting, and we're going to knit this panel for 100 rows. Okay, so you're just going to keep cranking. We have no color changes. Unless you want to do color changes, you can do that too, but if you're following the pattern the way I'm doing it, you're going to stick with this base color, and you're going to knit 100 rows. Okay, When I get to about row 55 or 60, somewhere in there, when it starts to touch the table there, I'll come back and I'll show you what I do for those of you who are beginners. I roll it up. just so that I can get some tension around my barrel here. When it starts to lag on the table and push up on your work here, then you're risking dropping some stitches. So we want to keep tight tension from the project base that's going into our machine. Okay, so see me back when you get to around 55 or 60, and I will show you what I do there. All right. All right, happy knitting, my friends. Keep going. Okay, so once it starts to touch the table and I'm on row 54, it's time to roll it up, okay? Because when it's laying on the table, it's putting it's lifting up the sides like this, and then it makes the stitches around the needles here loose, and that's when you can drop a stitch. So you want to have a tighter tension around your barrel. So when it starts to touch the table, you just take it and you roll it up in a donut. And you keep going. And so that just puts a little bit of tension around the rim of the needles, and you keep going, and it helps you have perfect stitches. Okay, I'm loving this new tensioner too. I had a hard time adapting to it. It's new. I always use my fingers, but with yarn that really works well in the machine, I find that the tensioner is good. When you got yarn that is difficult, then I need to use my fingers. But I'm just starting to get used to it. It was a learning curve for me, to be honest with you, because I like the control in my fingers. But I'm using this one in the middle tensioner with this Bernat pink yarn, and it's just working beautifully. It's just like a dream, actually. So I'm not having any problems with it. So keep going until you get to row 100, and when you get there, see me back. All right, let's hope that the lighting's not too bad. So I just kept rolling it up in a donut as I went along. And so when I got to row 100, I cut off my yarn. It was in my feeder like this. I cut it off, opened my feeder, and put it in between the last white and the first black needle. Okay, I'm going to tuck that in there. Then I'm going to add my waste yarn. So I'm going to put it in my yarn feeder, close the latch. I'm going to hold both those ends. Okay, and I'm just going to crank a few and then give this just one tie. Okay. And then we're going to go around and we're going to add as many rows of waste yarn as what you're comfortable with. I always do 7 or 8. And that's always good for me. So that's 1, 2, 3, okay, so go ahead and do 7 or 8 rows of waste yarn and then see me back. All right, so I'm at 8 rows of waste yarn. I'm going to cut off the end, and I'm going to open my latch. I'm going to put that in between the last white and the first black. Close my latch so that when my needles go around, they don't break it doesn't break. If it nicks this little latch here, it could break the latch or the needle. So you want to make sure it's always closed. And then we're going to turn it twice until it comes off. I dropped a stitch actually as I was doing my waste yarn, so I had to stop and fix that. But it was only waste yarn, so that's okay. Here we go. I'll help these last 2 off because I can tell they're stuck. Go around and get these 2. Okay, so that gave me a little bit of trouble, but that's okay. We're still intact here, so we're good. All right, so what we're going to do next is we're going to unroll our donut. We're going to stretch it widthwise and lengthwise all the way down and all the way across, and then we're going to grab our crochet hook and we're going to close up this one end. We're going to close up the bottom end because that's the one that unravels the easiest. We're going to close that one up and work from the other side for the next part of this project. Okay, so grab your crochet hook. I'm just going to use what I have here. It's what's in my hand, 4.25. So grab that. I'm going to remove my Addi and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so when we're ready, we're going to close this end. I'm going to untie the little knot there. I used really white against pink, probably wasn't smart for the camera because you might not be able to see really clearly, and my apologies if you can't. But hopefully you'll know how to do this, and if you don't, then I have a video on how to make a flat edge. But what you're going to do is you're going to take your pink, so this is a pink in my hand, the working yarn, and you're going to trail it up. So where this yarn is coming out, this yarn trails up underneath this stitch, and this is the loop. See if I pull that, that's the That's the working yarn. That's the last stitch that I want to use. So you're going to put your stitch marker in there. Then if you go across to where your waste yarn is coming out, it's coming out of this loop. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to put that in that first loop there. And those are my 2 stitches that I need to use as my counters. One is the first one and one is the last one. I used my 46 needle Addi, so I know 23. The 23rd and the 24th stitch are exactly halfway on this side, okay? So I'm going to start counting. So 1, I'm counting these pink little loops that are the stitches in the last row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. This is 23 and this is 24. So I'm going to put my hook under stitch 24 because these are the 2 end stitches. And then I'm going to go over and I'm going to pick up 23. Going to bring it under the loop that's on my hook. Then I'm going to go down to the bottom row, pick up that next stitch, put it through the loop on my hook, up to the top row, through the loop on my hook, and I'm going to go back and forth just like that until I get to the end. Doesn't matter if you go under your stitch like this and pull it through, or if you go over your stitch like this and pull it through. All you're doing is pulling the loop through the one loop through the other, so it doesn't really matter how you grab it, okay? So let me just get that, okay? And you're going to go all the way across and you're going to count, making sure that you've picked up all 46 stitches, knowing that the first one, number 24 that you put on your hook, counts as your first stitch, okay? And then you're going to make sure that all 46 get worked. Otherwise, whichever one you miss is going to drop a row, okay? So there we go. I'm going to keep going until I get to the end. And when I get to the end, I will see you back. All right, so I'm on the last 2, and if I pull up on my bobby pin, that's 45. Now I can take it out. Oops, a lot of good that was. There we go. And then I'm going to pull up on my other one. My apologies for using white yarn as waste yarn. I don't know what I was thinking. I always grab a contrasting color, but to me this was contrasting, but for the, well, contrasting enough, but for this video it might not have been. So anyway, so then I tied that off. And now we're free to go ahead and remove our waste yarn. Okay, so let's just find that end there. And we can just pull it and it will come off. Okay. Because we worked on the end first, which is what I wanted to do, because it unravels so easily. And we're going to put some stuffing in here. So if I would have done the other end first and then worked with this one, I might have lost some of my stitches. So that's why I chose to do this side first. Okay, so let's just pull on that till it completely comes out. And there we got a beautifully finished seamed edge. Okay, gorgeous. All right, so now what I want you to do is grab your stuffing, your fiber fill, and we're going to put some in our tube here. All right, so to do this, I'm just going to pop it into the bottom there and spread it out. We do not want it thick. We just want a nice thin layer, and you might have to stretch it out a bit, your fiber fill out a bit, because it likes to come out in clumps, okay? Like even if you stretch it out just a bit like that. And we're going to just go all the way up the tube. Such a, you know, that would just make a nice little pillow for just a little, or a little toddler. But anyways, we're just going to keep going, getting an even amount of stuffing, just a thin layer all the way up the tube. Okay, doesn't take much. Okay, so you're going to just keep working it so it's flat and even. Just like so. A little bit more. I buy the big box of fiber fill from Michael's. I did the math. When you buy the bags, you get 30% off the bags. And you don't get 30% off on the boxes because it's a everyday value item. But the boxes still work out. If you do the math and you figure out the poundage that's in each box, the box is actually, I think, maybe 70 cents or something more than it would work out if you bought it all in bags. So I go ahead and I buy the box because I just like that amount, okay, to have it on hand. Okay, so there we go. So it's basically even all the way through. I might have a little too much here at the end, so I'm going to just take a little bit out. okay? And once you've played with it and you've got it all flat, it's just a nice little layer of fiber in there. We're going to then go to this other end and we're going to close it, okay? Same way that we closed the first end. I'm going to move the camera down 1 second. All right, we have our handy dandy stitch markers. And this one looks a little bit different. So how you find the stitches in the end. So you're going to look for your waste yarn, and the last pink stitch that it's coming out of, which is this one here, I'm going to put a stitch there. Now, if you look to the left of that, you'll see that this stitch here is in line with this one, but you got to go to the one that's on top of it, and that will be your last stitch, okay? So this has just one. This row looks like it has, oops, this row doesn't just look like it has two, it does have two. And you take the top one, okay? So then you count around to 23 and 24. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, now my stuffing's in the way. So you count around to the 23 and your 24, and you do the same thing we did with the other side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. This is 24 right there, okay? So you put your hook in 24, then you pick up 23, and you go through. And then the bottom one, go through. Go up to the top, grab it, and go through the loop on your hook. Do that all the way till you get to the end, okay? And then we close it off the same way we close the other one off. And then I'll show you what we do next. Fun, isn't it? It's not a hard project. So far, it's not anyways. And it's fun. So let's just get this part done, and then we'll move on to the next step, okay? All right, so now I'm going to lift up my bobby pin, take that 45th stitch, and lift this one up, take the 46th stitch, and then yarn over my tail, put it through, knot it off. Now this side is the harder one to take off. Now many people, what they'll do is they'll, on this side, they'll do their waste yarn, and then on the very last row of waste yarn, you'll take a different color and you'll just do one row, and then you can just pull that string out and the whole thing will come off. I know that that's a good way to do it and it's an easy way, but I don't mind doing it this way either. And so it's just how I always do it. Okay, so I'm gonna pull the very top row out. To me, they're both an extra step. So like this is one step that you have to extra do, and adding another color and doing a row is an extra step. So I just leave it the same, and I just pull out that first row by pinching the stitch on the left, pulling out the yarn down the row. Making sure, of course, that you have the exact top row that you're pulling. Almost there. Okay, that's the last stitch. And once you get that first row all the way out, then it just comes off just like the bottom row, just like that. So I just find, I know that there are other ways of doing it, but this is my favorite way, actually. I find it just as easy. As long as you roll up that top and you get the very top row, you'll never have a problem, okay? There we go. And it comes out just like so. Now we've got my second row all done beautifully, okay? So we've got our long pillow in essence, and now what we're going to do is we're going to put the face on it. Okay, I completed the face just so you can see what it, I'm going to explain to you how I laid it out, and then I'll do it with you on the other side, and I'll just have two sides done. Doesn't matter, because one will be against the basket and you're not going to see it. So anyways, what I did is I folded my piece right in half, just like this. Okay, but the other way, until I could find where my center was. And then when I found where my center was, I counted up. So if this panel is 46 needles, we know that half of it is 23 needles. So I counted up. I just chose an area that I thought was closest to the side there. And then I just counted up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oops. Anyways, I counted up 12 rows, and then that's where I started my nose, okay, in the halfway point. So then what I did is I trailed my yarn up from the side here, and I went up into this point. So this was my middle, okay? So this stitch here was my middle. I have 3 stitches on either side. So I have 7 stitches across, okay? So this was what I considered the middle of my project. It's a little bit, I think it's 1 row lower than the middle, but that's what I wanted. So, well, if you go 12 rows up, then it works out to half, but with the rounded edges and stuff, it actually looks like it's a little bit lower. And that's how I worked it out. So I went up, and then I found where my middle point was with my needle. I actually put a stitch marker in there. I folded it in half, and then I pinched where I thought was the middle and put a stitch marker in there, and it landed up in this point. So anyways, this is 7 stitches across. You can see what the row is above it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, I did a straight line across those 7 stitches. Then I came down, and rather than go by rows, I'm going to show you this way, just because I find it easier to learn if I show you. I'm going to show you just rows like this, not a stitch row like this, because sometimes you get this mixed up. You go, okay, well, if this is my stitch, is this my row? So I'm going to show you just by strands like this. So 1 strand, 2 strands, 3 strands, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and that's how many rows, how many strands I went down. But then I went into the middle. So the 4th stitch, which is the middle stitch of the 7, I went down 8 strands and put it in that 4th stitch. Does that make sense? And then, so once I went across, I went down, then I went across up to that corner, and I had my triangle. Okay, then I started coming down, and I'm going to show you on the other side, but I started coming down to the point. This looks like it's a little bit off, so I'm going to have to put another row in there, another strand in there, just so it doesn't look off centered. But I put my guide yarn across there, and then from my point I went over the guide yarn every time. So I hid the guide yarn, and that's how I knew I was staying on the straight and narrow. Okay, and I just went back and forth until I got it how I liked. Okay, so we're going to start with that. Then I'm going to just show you one. Well, let's do that, and then I'll show you the eyes, how I do the eyes after. Okay, I folded my piece in half, and then I pinched it to find where I thought was the center, and it worked out to the same place, the 12th row up. Okay, so if this is the middle, this is what I'm calling the middle. I am going to actually go up to this next one here, because this is going to be, no, sorry, I'm going to stay here, and this is where my stitches are going to line up, because we're going to put our guide row here. So if this is stitch 4, then 5, 6, 7, and then let's go back 3 the other way. So now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stitches. Okay, so this is the middle one. I've got 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. That makes 7. Okay, so let me just I'm going to put my needle there just for a second, because I'm going to come in the side here and underneath the stuffing, because I don't want to see that I don't want to see the yarn tail coming through my pink. Okay, so I'm going to go up into there, and I already said that I'm going to go over 7. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to come down from there, but then you're going to take your, this was our middle point, and we said that we were going to go down 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm going to put my point right down in there. Okay, so I'm going to go down and under the stuffing, and I'm going to come up there. Then I'm going to go back over to here, come back down to the point, just like so. Then go back up to this point, come down into the point, and I don't want to be pulling that too tight. Okay, and so from there I'm going to just go back and forth over top of this line, because I don't want to see that line later. And I'm going to come back down. And I actually ended up moving my point as I went along. Sometimes I would see if it looks too square, once you start filling in, if it looks too square down here, you don't want that. You want a point. Then just make a new point, and it'll fix it right away. Okay, and then I'm going to come over to here. Now it's snug, but it's not pulling my rows. Okay, it's loosely snug. Okay. So this one looks a little loose to me, but it's okay. I'm going to cover it up later, so don't panic. It'll be fine. Okay, then we're going to keep going, guiding that down. I'm going to do another one here. See, You just keep filling it in, using that triangle as your guide, and it'll all work out. And you don't even have to go in straight rows, but I see how this one came over top of these ones. So I'm actually going to put another one there because I don't like how that looks. I'm going to come back here. And it's just all a matter of weaving in and out, then using your thumb to guide it, okay? Put another one there. Got a lot on this side now, so I'm going to start working on that other side. And then I fill in as I feel it necessary to do, okay? So it does work out. Looks a little intimidating at first because you see strands all over the place, but you fix that later in the end, and even this one is loose now, but you're gonna fix all that in the end. So keep going, just following what I have told you to do. Oops, make sure that your second tail is not so long, okay? And you're gonna just keep filling that in. It's hard for me to do this while I'm on camera, to be honest with you, but that's okay. Anything for you. And then I'm gonna just keep, and you'll see it looks wonky right now, but it won't be. It'll be perfect, okay? So sometimes when you're doing this, you'll be hard on yourself and you'll say, oh, I can't do the faces, it looks so terrible. But you see how this is wider here and this is wide, but it's gap in there. I'm gonna go in there. So you just gotta look where you think you need to go to make it look even, okay? That one there already made that look better, didn't it? And I don't like this stitch here either. So again, I'm gonna go back over to there. And I'm gonna line that up over top of that crossed over stitch. See how perfect that now starts to look? Then I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna finish this side. And I'm going to make my point a little bit lower. Just like I told you, once it starts looking square, you can go down a little bit further. It's exactly what I'm going to do. Put that where I want it to be. Continue along that path, going back now into that new point. Just like so. Oops. Make sure you have a long enough strand, okay? I might have to not add another one. So I'm gonna go there, into that point. I'm gonna come back into this new point that I made. And then now I feel like this point is lower than this one, so I'm going to go back up, and you see how you just start to form it. It might look like it's a little wonky at first because you're just putting your new rows in there, but in the end, it all works out. And I'm gonna run out of yarn here, so I'm going to, well, what I'm gonna do, I'll show you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go back into the top here. I'm gonna come out as far as I can here. It's not gonna reach this tail, and these tails have to match so that I can tie them. So I'm gonna put this one back in and come up here. You just do what you gotta do, right? And then I'm gonna tie a little knot. Now, ideally that needs to be longer, but I'm gonna tie a little knot. Then I'm gonna go into that same hole underneath my stuffing and out a different point. And then I'm gonna see if I can hide these two ends. Just like so. Then I'm going to just pull up on it a little bit, cut it off. Cut it off, then lift up on this, and you can't even see that end, okay? And then I'm gonna do the same thing, add another piece, and I'm going to just tidy up this nose a little bit. I'm going to do another strand here, and then I'm going to tuck this underneath there, just like that. I'm going to do another strand over here, and I'm going to tidy up my point. I might put another point right there. We'll see. But that's basically how you start it, and then you play with it until you have your desired look, okay? All right, so you see how great that looks? And you saw that in parts of it, it looked terrible. But you just got to keep persevering, and you keep adding layers until it looks nice. Because it doesn't matter how thick you get this. I mean, you don't want it so thick that it looks funny, but you'll get the drift of it. I could actually add another one right there too, and it would look nice. But anyway, so that's what I did for the nose. Now, if I turn it around, you might be asking, first off, why don't you just go through to the other side and tie it off? And you're totally welcome to do that. And then you don't have to worry about coming up at the same spot and hiding it. This is how I'm choosing to do it, because I don't want any puckers. Like if I tie it on the other end, I don't want any indents to mistakenly make any like that. You know what I mean? So if I pull it through and tie it, then this might form a little buckle there, and I don't want that. So I'm going to just do it this way. But you can do it however you like. Now, if I turn around and I look at the nose, you'll see that I have the 3 stripes there. Now, I don't know why that's off. It wasn't off-centered when I did it. So the nose on the other side is actually nicer than this nose. So this obviously is going to be the reject side. So I did go and add another little line there, but no, it's fine. Okay, maybe it's because it needs to go a little bit longer. But what I did here now is I went from the side and I counted 3 stitches. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, so then I brought my yarn up into this little stitch right there. Okay, and it's 1, 2, 3 lines down. Okay, so a row and a half down. But from your top here, if you want to count by strands, it's 3 strands like that, and 3 little holes, so 3 stitches up. And then I went across 5 stitches, or did I do 7? Let me see. 1, 2, 3. No, I did 5. I went from here over here to 5, then I went back under to this point here, and then if you look here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I did 5 bars over and straight over. Okay, and then I went into there and came back down to the point and did the same way here. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and then came up, and then I went right across and did it likewise on the other side. Okay, so I don't think I need to show you that on the other side. So, well, I'm just going to go ahead and do it, and then I'll show you when it's done, just because I don't want to take up so much camera time. I think that now that you've got the idea of this, you'll understand this. Okay. All right, so I'll show you the other side in a minute. I have to finish off this last whisker here, but before we move up to the eye, this is how I've done it. Okay, let me just grab my other little. So from this point here, which is the line that's above your nose, you're going to take the corner, and you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 strands up, okay? So just, I think by now you know what I mean by that, okay? 9 strands up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then you're going to bring your yarn from this corner here, or from the corner here when you attach it here, up in line with the corner of the nose, 9 strands up. Then you're going to come down, and I did just 2 stitches here, and then 1 across, and then 2 back up. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that on the other side. Okay, so I'm going to finish off my whisker, but I'm going to come up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm going to come up right into that point there. Okay, just like that. Not going to pull that too tight. And then from there, I'm going to come across 1, 2, 3 of these strands. I think I said it wrong on the other side. It says 2 stitches, but it works out to, let me just see here, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to come down into that one. So three rows over, and then I'm going to come across into 3 stitches, just like that. Okay, or pick up 3 bars. Then I'm going to do the same thing. 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to come back down into here. Just like so, and then back down into here. Up into there. Oop, just lost my yarn out of my needle. And I don't like those little points there. So what I do now is I just trail back and I go into the middle of the bottom row there. Back up through the top corner here. And you guessed it, right back into the middle row there. Then I'm going to trail this underneath my stuffing and up the same way. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's my inside corner of that eye. And I'm going to go ahead and do exactly the same thing. Okay, so you go ahead and do that and finish that eye off. And I do my mouth last because I want to show you another option, okay, to what was on the other side. When I have that done, I'm going to my last point of entry there. I'm going to come up through that nose point there. Okay. That looks good. Now, the reason why, I'll show you the other side. Well, you've seen it already because it was not done very nice. Technically, you just have to do one row in the middle there. This is going to be the wrong side. Otherwise, I would completely take that out because it's just not right. Okay, I would do just one row. Let's see how many stitches down did I do. 1, 2, 3. I did 5. 1 row, 5 stitches down. But for this one, I'm going to go 5. Well, I'm going to run out of yarn again, so I'm just going to show you, and then I'm going to do it off camera. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 again. No, 6. Let's do 6. And then, see, it's already too short. Let me change the yarn, and then I'm going to come back. Just a reminder, when you're hiding your yarn ends, go underneath the stuffing so that you don't see the color contrast underneath your pink here, okay, or whatever color you choose. So I'm going to come back up into that point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is what I decided. Go back up. I'm going to just go around one of these. No, I'm not, okay? Then I'm going to come back down. And from there, I'm going to go up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 4 at an angle. 1, 2, 3, 4 at an angle. Okay? Just like so. I might only do 1 strand there instead of 2. I think I like the idea of 1 strand instead of 2. So I'm going to take this out. That's okay because I'm doing this with you, so you'll see that it's not always cut and dry. You'll learn as you go, right? You design as you go, and it's okay to take things apart and to have a different vision with it. Okay, so then I'm going to go down. And then I'm going to go up just slightly. Back down into that point and up just slightly. Yeah, that's long enough. Say 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And then, or 1, 2, 3. And this one I did 1, 2, 3. And then back down into that point and underneath the stuffing and out the same little hole that I came in, just like so. Okay. That gives me a little smiley. He's sleeping, but he's smiley. Or you can make the eyes the other way if you like. Let me see, what do I like better? No, I like it this way. He's having a peaceful, happy sleep. So then you're going to cut that off. Thanks for bearing with me, guys. Sometimes I'm talking to you, but I talk to myself, and it's like I'm trying to decide what I'm doing here. And so thank you for sticking with me. I appreciate that. You're true friends. Okay, so now I'm going to cut this off. It's hidden underneath the stuffing. And that is, oh, I love it. So you got that option, or you got that option. You can make the eyes up and then put eyebrows on them. You design your face however you want to design your face of your bunny. And make sure you show us in our Facebook group, because I would love to see what you've decided to do. You can make oval eyes. There's just so much you can do. You can make these a lot longer so that they come out to the side like that. Whatever you choose to do. Okay, so you just have fun. I like the face to look like it's in a facial shape. If I have these, I know whiskers go beyond the face, so I don't know, maybe I should take those out and try. You would have seen at the beginning of this video what I did, so maybe I will do that, maybe I won't. But anyway, so now we're going to put the ears on, okay? Little insert here. I thought I would show you. I thought, just go ahead and do it the opposite way so you can show them what it looks like. Okay, so okay, so we counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or I counted 6 up this time because then I'm going 3 higher. And then I just did the same ratios that we were doing with the upside down one, except for instead of going up 9 rows and coming down 3 rows, I went up 6 rows and went up 3 rows. Okay, so anyways, you'll see that this bottom row follows along and this top row follows along. So it works out perfectly, okay? And in between there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, okay? So here's a picture of both ways, and after that we'll move on to the ears. So to do the ears, I'm choosing to use the same color. I want my ears and my face to all be pink. And so I'm going to grab my working yarn. Now, if you're going to, we need to have waste yarn at one end, and I'm going to put it on the bottom end because I'm going to close it off right away. If you're going to do this project and you're going to let it sit in the basket and it's going to be moving around before you get to it to finish it, then start with your waste yarn and end with your long tail cast off, because the waste yarn that you put on first won't come unraveled. If you do it on the bottom and then you put it in a bin and let it sit, or it gets jostled around, then you'll risk having it come undone. So for me, I'm going to be closing it up right away. So I'm going to start with my long tail cast on with my working yarn. I'm going to go first. I'm going to set my counter to 0. I'm going to go behind that first black needle, in front of the next, behind and in front, all the way around. Just like so. Actually, I never count my cast on row. You can if you want. I never do actually, so I'm going to go ahead and put this back to 0 so I can start it now. And so I'm going to go behind that last white one into the yarn feeder, shut the latch there, and I'm going to begin. Okay. I do have a tensioner that sometimes I love, sometimes I don't. We have a love-hate relationship. I'm starting to get to, I'm trying to use it more, and the more I use it, the more I actually kind of like it, depending on the yarn. This yarn works really, really well in my machine. So now that I've got my cast on yarn done, row done, and I've successfully completed a few rows, I'm going to then add my tensioner. So I'm going to open my yarn feeder. I'm going to put my yarn in that big loop there. I'm going to stick my yarn guide in there, or my tensioner in there, and I'm going to put it in the second one, just like so. Okay, and then I'm going to continue cranking. And for each ear, we need 45 rows. Okay, so I'm going to go until my counter says 45, and then I'm going to finish row 45, and then I'm going to add some waste yarn to the end. Okay, so keep going until you get 45 rows, and then see me back. I've made it around. I finished 45 rows with this lovely tensioner. Today it's a love relationship. I never tucked one stitch. I never had to slow down. I just did 45 rows and they all turned out beautifully. I could crank with my right hand and drink coffee with my left. Life is good. Okay, so you're going to cut off a tail. Cut off about a foot because you're going to need it for sewing. Okay, you can take out your tensioner. Take the yarn from your yarn guide, put it between your last white, your first black, and then you're going to grab your waste yarn. Okay, only if you didn't use it at the beginning. You're going to grab your waste yarn and you're going to hold those two, and then I'm going to just give it one tie just at the two ends there, and then I'm going to crank out 7 or 8 rows of waste yarn, whatever length this has. This is a scrap piece of waste yarn that I've used in the past, so it's probably going to give me 8 rows, but we'll see. Okay, I'll watch for the end to come around and then I'll know when to quit. Now this waste yarn's tangling around itself, so that's why it's giving me a little bit of hassle, but that's okay. I'll win that battle, I think. Hold on one second. Nope, not going to let me win. So I'm going to just, you know what, I'm going to sew this together right away. So I'm going to end here. The beauty with waste yarn is that it doesn't matter if you actually end between the white and the black. I can end right there, and because it's not part of my project. And then I can turn it twice and it will let loose. And I'll help it off. And we've got our piece done, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna stretch it out. Look how beautiful that looks when you stretch it out. You have to stretch out your work. It just lines up all your stitches, softens it up, and just makes it look beautiful. So I stretch it both lengthwise and widthwise, both ways. This is lengthwise, but there we go. Now we've got a beautiful panel, and I'm gonna remove my machine, then we're going to sew it together. Sew it up. All right, my friends, so take your machine out of the way if that's what you need to do, and then come back and see me. Okay, so I removed my Addi and I cleaned up a little bit. Man, how is it that our workstations get so messy? Tell you, all I have is my Addi and my yarn, but it seems like, well, no, there's your needles and everything else, but it just seems like I can get this little table such a mess. So I cleaned up for you. So anyways, we're going to take our bobby pins. We're going to find where our waste yarn is coming out of. That last stitch, you see it's coming through that last stitch, or that stitch there, that's going to be our first stitch actually. We're going to put our marker in there, and then we're going to go to the left of that, and we're going to see those very next two stitches. You've got two, one right on top of the other. We're going to take the top one, and that'll be our last stitch, okay? So we know that this is a 46 needle machine, so I'm going to go around and count till I get to 23 and 24 because I know that's the very side on this side, okay? So if you've watched any of my videos, you know that's what I do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. This is stitch 23 and this is 24 that I'm going to put my hook under, okay? So I count that as 1. Then I go up to stitch 23, that's 2. Grab the next one on the bottom row, 3, bring it through the loop on the hook, grab the one at the top, 4, go down to the bottom, grab that next loop, 5, 6. See how the work is coming apart already? Sometimes it does that. So you're going to keep going back and forth from the top row to the bottom row, grabbing your stitches and putting them through the loop that's on your hook. Okay, so this one's giving me problems because it's not, hang on, I'm going to grab it with my needle because I don't want to lose it. There we go. And you're going to make sure you always count because you don't want to miss a stitch. You want to pick up all 46 stitches, counting the one that was on your hook when you started, okay? And make sure that you get every stitch because if you miss one, your row will drop once you take your waste yarn off, okay? So we're going to do that all the way to the end. I'm reaching here so I can stay under the camera. That's why it looks so awkward. If I wasn't trying to film this, I would have this done already, but bear with me. So you go ahead and you finish that. And when you get that done, I'll see you at the end and we'll close it off. All right? Okay, I'm at the end, so I'm going to pull up on this number 45 stitch, which is the bobby pin. And I'm going to finish that stitch off. See, because I did few rows, it started to unravel already. I was able to do it with no problem, but that's why this is the example as to why I tell you if you're going to let it sit for a bit, then always put the waste yarn at the top because that one won't unravel. Okay, and then now that we got that tied off, we can pull off our waste yarn. Okay. This one generally isn't a problem, and it isn't now either. But yeah, it's the beginning one that sometimes causes a problem, but I know how to take that one off pretty easily too, and I show you that in all of my videos. But anyways, go ahead, and once you have that finished, we're going to now close up the other end. And that we're going to close up just with tightening. You grab the end, and you're going to just tighten it, okay? And then unfold this and unroll it as you go, just because you want it nice and smooth. Tuck those all in. Okay. And pull on that. I'm going to put my needle, the yarn into the needle there. Like I said in my last video that I posted, I'm missing my wool needle. The gray metal needle with the with the loop on the end. The size that I need for this, I had 2 of them and I've used them so much that they both broke. So I just haven't had it. The last time I went to Walmart to get them, they were sold out. So I just haven't been back yet. So hopefully next time I go, they'll have more, and then I'll just buy a few packages because they're cheap. Like, you get 3 different size needles in there for like $3.98. And trust me, you're going to love them. If you haven't used those wool needles, silver metal needles with a plastic loop at the end, just believe me, you're going to love them. They'll become your favorite needles. So if you see them, you go ahead and grab them at Walmart or order them on Amazon. Okay. There we go. So I've tied that up nice and tight. Now I want to flatten that end out so that I can figure out where my little bend is going to be here at this end. Just like that, okay? So there we go. I've got that all flattened out. Now I'm going to make sure that my yarn comes around to that beginning place. Just like so. Okay? I'm going to then just grab the stitch on the other side. Bring it back through and tie a simple knot. Okay, just like that. One more little knot. Hide my yarn strands, or strand, singular. And there we have our ear, okay? And I'm going to turn it the other way. We're going to then work up at the top here. I think this is going to be too short, but I'm going to give it a go. We're going to thread that end that you have on the corner, and if it's too short, then attach one and do it again. And then we're just going to go across the top just like this, right underneath those stitches. Just like so. Usually I weave in and out, but you don't have to for this one. You just go straight underneath that one row of stitches, okay? And then you're going to just pull this. And when you pull on it, you just want to even kind of gather, just like so. And I'm going to just measure it here. About 3 inches. I think 3 inches is perfect. And then when you have your 3 inches, you're going to take your yarn end and you're going to just tie a knot here. Okay? Finish that off. And then for sure I'm going to have to add another one, but that's okay. I'm going to hide that. I'm going to add another yarn end, and then I'll see you back, okay? Once you have your ear sewn up, you're going to grab your piece. I didn't attach this yarn, but I'm going to just do that really quickly here. You're going to grab your ear with your 3-inch seam along the top, your 3-inch part right there, okay? And we're now going to sew it onto our bunny head, okay? So I'm going to just hide this one. Sorry, I should have done that off camera. I really needed to go off because I was gonna cough. I'm not sick or anything. I just had something in my throat and I didn't want to hack on the camera, so just went off. So now we've got our piece and we have our yarn attached if we need to attach it. And then all we're going to do is we're going to line up this side here. Take about the middle, and you're gonna line this up to the top. Up here first, okay? But you want the edge to meet the edge of your whiskers or the edge of your eye if you made your whiskers longer, okay? If you made your whiskers longer and they're under there, then maybe the best thing to do is to line it up with your eye. And then having that gathered, we're going to go to the top. I've got my yarn end on the wrong side because I like to go from right to left, but I'm going to turn it. So I'm going to attach that on the other side. Camera bloopers. Yes, I do have them too. Oh boy. All right, so let's do that again. So when you have the flat edge lined up against your eye there, you're going to bring this up. You're going to find the top edge, okay? So basically what you do is take the corner and follow that row down, and that's the row that I'm going to use, okay? There we go. That's the row that I'm going to use to sew my ear on. I'm going to have the 2 top sections meeting each other just like that. And I'm going to basically just go underneath that stitch at the top and then in through here. I'm going to go over, I'm going to go into that next stitch and pick up the top. Okay, just like that. Make sure your gathers are all evenly spaced on your ear. Then I'm going to go into the next stitch and continuing along like that. I think this is called the whip stitch. Anybody who's a sewer, if I'm wrong, I'm very sorry, forgive me. I know not what I do. Okay, and you're going to just whip stitch it like that, and you're going to continue all the way along until you get to the other end, and you're going to tie it off in a knot, and then you're going to come back and see me because we're going to do something else to the ear. I'm assuming that you were completely successful on that because it was probably the easiest part of the project. Okay, so I'm at the last stitch and I'm going to sew that down. Then I'm going to take this edge. Do I need to move my camera up? Yes, you're saying? Okay, I will, just for you. I'm going to move that up, then I'm going to fold this over. Okay, take your one side, the far side from your face, and you're going to fold it over until this end comes into the middle, okay? And then we're going to just take our needle and we're going to sew down, okay? Just lightly sew, doing the same stitch, the whip stitch. We're thinking it's the whip stitch, but we're not sure. So anyways, that's how I'm going to do it all the way down till the middle right here. And then, so, well, let's line it up with this middle part of the whisker. So then we all have a reference point, okay? So sew it down like that, tie it off, hide your ends, and then go ahead and do that with the other ear. And this is what it's going to look like when you're finished, okay? Putting your ears on. I just think it looks so cute. You know what? This would be such a cute pillow for a kid. Just tack it down here so there's, you know, this doesn't, it's not long enough to wrap around their neck or anything, but I would still tack it down. Go ahead and use this pattern and make a pillow for a little kid. I think it'd be awesome. Just don't make this too bumpy because you don't want that hurting their head. However, they can turn it around when it's time to sleep. But what a great idea. You know, I can visualize that as I have it sitting here. But the last thing we're going to do is we're going to take our basket, okay? And we are going to center this on the front. Just like, oops, am I off camera? We're going to center that on the front, just like so, okay? Bring it around to the back, and you're going to pull it a little bit so it's tight. And we're going to simply seam this up. I don't think I have to do that on camera. I think you know how to seam that up. But you're just going to do like a whip stitch. Go underneath your stitch, bring it through, then go over, up in your next stitch, bring it through, and whip stitch it all the way down to close, okay? And once you do that, then it'll be pretty secure, and then we're going to add our pom-pom tail, and it's so cute. Now, the other thing that I'm going to, this is tight, so you don't really have to add anything else to it, but I am going to, actually, and I'm not going to do that on camera either because I don't feel it's necessary. I don't want this to be falling down and slipping off with use, so I want to pull this up so that the rim is up about like that. You can see in the picture, I've got it up there. And there's also a bit of a rim on the back too. So you can see it's an overhang. I'm going to glue gun actually. Before I sew this on, I'm going to do beads of glue gun around, just around this one top edge here. And then I'm going to stick this one down. And I'm actually going to do it every second, just wherever you want to stick a bead of glue. Okay, you don't have to go around the whole thing. Just put a little bit there and a little bit there and a little bit there. Just in little places all around, just to hold this in place. So it's up like that, okay? And then once you do that, then you're going to sew it on. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to, once this is glued gun too, we're going to put a drawstring around here and we're going to tighten that. So I'm going to do that with you once I get this all put together and get to that point, and then I'll show you, all right? So come back when you finish that part. Okay, so I have it sewed. And I have it glued just in different spots around the inside. And now that I have this all done, I'm going to just go underneath the lip of this. You see there's glue there, but I'm going to go underneath the lip again. That handle's in the way of the camera here. And I'm going to just right under the rim there, reinforce it, because I don't want this falling down at all, and I want the rim to stay at the same height, so it just looks more professional. Okay, so then I'm going to do this all the way around, just a little bit of glue, and press it down just like so, so that my rim is the same height all the way around, and it's going to stay like that. Okay, so go ahead and do that as well. Okay, and then when you come back, I'm going to have the pom-pom on. I'm going to use my large clover pom-pom maker. If you don't know how to use the clover pom-pom maker, if you have one and you don't know how to use it, then go ahead and look for that video on my channel and you'll see. Otherwise, you can make it just the way you normally make your pom-poms. I'm going to go ahead and make it white. I want it to be white, so that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to add that next, and then I'll see you back because we have one more step. Okay. Oops. Almost done. All right, so now that that's done, the bottom also has an overhang, and you can put a bead of glue on the inside there too if you like, and just have it down. And you know, this sits perfectly fine without doing anything else to the bottom, but I'm going to finish it off a little bit better. I'm going to just take my yarn, and I'm going to weave in and out all around the bottom of the base here. Okay, so leaving a bit of a tail there. I'm going to go I hope you can see that. I'm going to go all around just like that until I meet back where I started. Okay, so go ahead and do that. If well, watch this, wait till I'm done, and then come back and see it. And if you like what I'm doing, then you can go ahead and do that to yours as well. Okay. All right, so I made it all the way around. I'm going to just take that, and I'm going to tighten it. I'm not going to tighten it completely because I don't want this face to go down underneath where it's sitting under there. So be aware of that too. Actually, I'm going to loosen it just even a bit more, just like that. You just have to. I'm going to actually tie it off in a knot and hide it, of course, but that's what it's going to look like on the bottom. It's just so cute. And that's what it looks like. So I'm loving this. I think it's just so completely adorable, and I hope that you do too. So once you get that done, whether you choose to do that or whether you choose not to, actually I'm not even going to make it quite that tight. I'm going to loosen it and make it even looser. I don't like it that tight. I don't like it pulling. I like my everything to look nice and soft, and I think if it starts to pull, it doesn't look soft. So I'm going to do it just like that actually, and then I'll tie it off and hide the ends, and then there is one. I said we had one more thing to do, but we actually had two. We're going to now make a cover for the handle. Okay, so finish off the bottom and then come see me back and we'll finish off the handle. So for the handle, I decided that I was going to use little pom-poms. Let me just sit on the floor here so I can show you what I'm doing. And okay, so I started, this is the middle at the top here. And so I wanted to have a contrasting color since everything is mostly, well, is pink on the bunny. And so let me just cut these off. And so I used the small clover, the pink one. Let's see, this one here. It's the smallest one that I have. I think it's the smallest one that they make actually. And I made tiny little pom-poms in white and pink. Now I'm going to have my dominant color white because I want to have a little bit of a contrast, like I said. And so I started with 3 white in the middle. That's where their little hand is going to grasp. And then I have a pink on either side. Then I'm going with 2 white and a pink, 2 white and a pink, 2 white and a pink, and then 2 white. I'm going to stick another white one down in the corner there so I end with the same pattern. Okay, and so then I'm going to just show you how I do this. Put it on top of my knee here just so that we can see. So I'm going to take my little pom-pom that I have the little the string still hanging, and you know that this is where the knot is, right? So I'm going to put a bead of glue. Let me put that one down. I'm going to put a bead of glue, hot glue, right there. Okay, right where the next pom-pom is going to go. Then I'm going to take it where the knot is. So right where these strings are are tied, where the knot is, I'm going to take that knot and I'm going to put the knot right over the glue and press down until it's tight, until it stays. Okay, and because I just put the knot on the glue, it's not going to come off. Okay, and so I'm just going to cut these little ends to match the length of the strings on the pom-pom, and it'll stay just like that. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put another pink, then 2 white and a pink and 2 more white, and finish that pattern down. And it's very simply and easily done like that, okay? And there's my pom-pom. Oh, I see a big one hanging out. You can always trim that when you see them. I use the biggest clover pom-pom maker for this tail, and I just love it, okay? So that is how I made this bunny basket. And now I'm going to finish it off, of course, that one handle. And I'm going to fill it full of all kinds of goodies. And the little girl receiving this is going to absolutely love it. So I hope that you loved making this project. I have another one that is going to be coming soon. And it will be yellow. So you can make a bunny in whatever color you want. If you want to make it blue or green or whatever color, you can make these for any child. But I'm going to make another pattern, and it will be yellow, and that will be coming soon, so you watch for it. And yeah, if you enjoyed this tutorial and you watched it and you're going to make it, then please hit that thumbs up button for me, or thumbs up like button for me. I would appreciate that very much. I know I mention that without fail in every video, but it really does mean a lot to me because it helps to promote my videos. So please hit the thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't done so already, and come on over and join my Facebook group. I'll put the link down below. We have a wonderful, wonderful group of people that are in that group. It is like just so positive, and I know that you'll enjoy being a part of it. So come on over, and we'd love to have you be a part of our community over there, okay? So thanks again for watching, my friends. It's been a pleasure spending time with you. Take care, and we'll see you in the next video.